pandas are top of mind when it comes to saving species. But how does saving them from extinction actually look on the ground in China? Our next speaker, Binbin Li, is one of the champions working to actually bring back this wonderful animal from the brink of extinction by doing something very familiar to many of our speakers for this festival, protecting them and their habitat from overgrazing and human impact. So please help me welcome Binbin Li from China. Hi, Binbin, 你好。
你好，Hello，Hello
早安，早
everyone.
安，早安，你好。
I'm amazed.
How are you?
Good. Very nice day here. And in China, people are celebrating today as well for biodiversity. And as you know, China is going to host COP15 of CBD. So everyone in China is pretty excited. So we look forward for some changes happening this year and onwards.
Oh, wow, that's fantastic. But I'm really looking forward to your talk on the panda because it is one of my favorite all-time animals in the whole world. So the floor is all yours.
Thank you. Okay, let me see if I can share my screen.
Yes, I see it. Hang on.
Okay, so let me.
It's coming up slowly. Ah, I see it.
Okay, good.
Yep.
Okay, you can see the whole screen or it just the display mode.
I can see the whole screen.
Okay, that's great. So then I will start.
Yes, please do.
Okay, so okay. So today I'm going to talk about panda, but I think what I want to talk about actually is what panda represent. And actually, it's the biodiversity in China. So although I know a lot of people, you love pandas, but I still want to give something about pandas first. So from this map, actually you can see panda actually existed, larger scale than what they are now. So like millions of years ago, they actually extend to the north and even close to Beijing. And then they exist in Myanmar and Vietnam. However, because of climate change and human disturbances, their habitats actually become more fragmented. And right now, they only exist in 6 mountain ranges in China and only in China. So we call that an endemic species to China. And however, their situation has been changed in the past several decades, and thanks to the conservation efforts happening in China and from outside China. So their status has been downlisted from endangered to vulnerable by using red list. And now we still have a lot of wild pandas instead of just the captive ones. So when I talk to the audience, no matter they're in China or outside China, they always think panda only exist in zoos, but actually no. There are more pandas in the wild, about like 2,000 individuals. And in captivity, we have about 500 to 600 individuals. And their habitat actually are much protected by the government. So right now we have about 67 nature reserves, especially established for pandas. And 28 of them actually are national level nature reserves. So these protected areas actually cover 56% of their habitat and 66% of their population. And when we talk about pandas, I think they're one of the species that get most of the investment. And not just for saying like giving money, but also the efforts to save them. So every 10 years, China will have this national level panda survey. They will search for every piece of their habitat and potential habitat. So actually the area that people go into the field and survey their presence and absence cover about 4.4 million hectares. So which is a lot, and it takes years to finish a national survey, and our next survey is going to happen. And panda is important not only because it's cute, but also the area where they live is very important. So we just enlarge this area. And as you can see, there's different colors. They actually represent the most important areas in China for our forest endemic species. And the red areas means this is the endemic centers for all the vertebrate species in China. And then the yellow one means it is important for 2 taxa. It could be birds, mammals, or mammals and amphibians. And the green one represent it is the endemic center for 1 taxa. So it could be bird, it could be mammal. And if we overlay the habitat of panda, which is the blue ones, you can see actually panda just live in the most important area. And actually it covers 70% of the China's forest endemic birds, 70% of the endemic mammals, and 31% of the endemic amphibians. And if we look at how much area it covers for these endemic centers, 1/4 of pandas' habitat actually covered the 3 taxon center, and 60% cover the 2 taxon center, and 13% cover the 1 taxon center. So add them together, 96% of pandas' range actually cover the endemism center in China for this forest species. And that's why we call panda is an umbrella species, because as we put more and more efforts and investments in their habitat protection, we actually provide this protection and conservation efforts for the other endemic species, which are not that cute to public. It could be a rat, it could be a bat, it could be some birds that people do not know about, but they're actually very important in our biodiversity and in our ecosystem services. So we think that's why we need to keep investing in panda, not because just panda is important, but the role it plays in conservation is very important. However, we should realize why panda get to this stage. So there are different threats to them: logging, agriculture, hydropower, climate change, roads and mining, and residents. So different factors actually have been dealt with in different stages in China. For example, logging and agriculture. China has established some national policy to deal with this issue. For example, we have the logging ban of the natural forests, national ones, happened since 1998. And then since 1999, we have the grain to grain program, which means the people who have cropland on these steep slopes, they can return their cropland and plant trees to regenerate the forest, provide habitats for the wildlife. And also for roads, if you travel in China, especially in mountainous areas, this is what you can always see, is we have a lot of highway right now instead of the normal roads, which could be good for both human society and for the wildlife. The reason is that in mountainous areas, especially with landslides, and then traveling on these roads on the slope can be dangerous. And now we have the roads not cutting through these slopes, but they are on bridges or in tunnels. So it will be quick for people to travel through, and also more and much safer. And also these bridges and also tunnels provide corridors for wildlife to travel through. So this can allow the habitat to recover and let the connectivity to restore. So which can be a good thing, especially in mountainous area. However, there's another threat coming to the stage, which is livestock grazing. And this graph just showing what happened during the GM Panda surveys. And as you can see, the roads, herb collection for medicine or for food, logging, farming, they are no longer the most prevalent human disturbances in pandas' habitat. Instead, it's the livestock grazing. It is more than 1/3 of the time people can find during the survey in their habitat. So 1/3 of the plots that people survey, you can see the livestock grazing signs. And this map showing how prevalent these signs across the panda habitat from one of the mountains called Min Mountains all the way to the south to their southern extent. So this brings some problems and also questions that we as scientists and also as conservationists want to answer is what actually some impacts can be brought by livestock grazing, especially to pandas. And what are the drivers for increasing livestock in forests? Because normally people have livestock in grassland ecosystem, but in forests, why people want to have more livestock? and what could be the solutions to this problem. So our first project actually happened in one of the most famous panda nature reserve in China. It's called Wanglong National Nature Reserve. So the blue area shows all the panda habitat in China. And then this county, Pingwu County, is called the Panda County because it has the most panda compared to all the other counties in China. It has more than like 230 individuals. And at the northwest corner is the Wanglong National Nature Reserve, which was established in 1963, one of the 4 nature reserves established for panda as the earliest nature reserves. And in this reserve, all the other 3 sites actually are protected by other types of nature reserves. And there's only one site is not protected. And there is one special ethnic group live in this area called Binbin Tibetans. And this red area actually delineates their township. So all the residents, they live along the roads as well the river, like enter Wanglong National Nature Reserve. So this area actually poses some of the human disturbances to this nature reserve. So our work cover like interdisciplinary methodology. We do surveys for the panda, and we also do surveys for some vegetation. We put GPS collars on these livestock and to track where they go. And also we do some socio-economic survey for the households to understand why they want to have more livestock and what could be some potential solutions. So how could livestock impact panda habitat? I think this figure can actually show the change. And these 2 photos were taken 10 years apart in the same place. And 10 years ago, and under this primary forest, we can see lush, the bamboo forest. And they're growing well and they provide food for pandas. However, after 10 years of livestock grazing, when we go back to the same place again and took this photo, and we found that the bamboos are dying. They lost their leaves, and then their stems are being grazed by livestock as well. And we can use models and the other fancy tools to estimate what is the change. And actually, the red area shows as the habitat that have been degraded or lost because of livestock grazing. And there are some areas like turn out to be new panda habitat, which is shown as the blue area. However, they're on the edge and also the marginal habitat. They're on the high elevation, they're on the steep slopes. They're not really suitable for panda to live in. So the panda lost its most suitable habitat to livestock, and they try to avoid the area. They also have competition over the bamboos, which constitute 99% of panda's diet. So we understand the potential impacts of livestock and panda habitat. And the next question is to understand the drivers and what we can do to solve this problem. So we actually go into this society, and this is by my Tibetan. As you can see, they have their special dress, they have their special tradition. And the things not only happen within the nature reserve, but livestock actually are free range in the areas close to their residence as well. And all the green area on their mountains, on their forests actually are panda habitat as well. So we're trying to understand what is going on, why people are having more livestock as we move into the 20th centuries. And as you can see, before 2000, there are actually relatively fewer livestock in this area. So according to our survey and our interactions with the different stakeholders, we understand there are several factors actually work in this situation. The first one is 1998, we have the national logging ban. And actually, the people around this area once rely on logging for their income. So suddenly, most of their income have been lost because of this national policy. And then in 2000, according to the return cropland to forest, some of them returned their cropland, and they further lost some of their natural capital they rely on for income. And however, in 1999 to 2002, the Nature Reserve and WWF and also the European Union, they initiate the integrated community development program in this area, trying to find the alternative livelihood for the people and to dealing with their livelihood. So actually, the first ecotourism happened in this area, and it was the first case for ecotourism in China. So people from outside China come to this area to see the unique culture and also to trying to see the panda or its habitat. And during that time, actually, horse riding was encouraged, and that actually encouraged some people to raise, for example, horses. And this can become a problem later on. And also in 2004 and 2005. And the dam construction happened because of the hydropower. So some people were relocated to other areas and they lost their original access to the grazing land. So they put their livestock inside the nature reserve. And also for 2008, we have the earthquake. So the roads were destructed. So the tourism that they just like established cannot continue. So then people have some livestock, have some horses, and they say, okay, we will just raise them as the meat livestock and we'll sell them to the nearby cities to get our income. So all these factors contribute to the increasing livestock. So which actually show us there's an important lesson we need to learn from. We could not just ban the use of certain natural resources, now allow for certain sustainable development. Otherwise, if you ban logging, if you ban cropland, and they would definitely use the other type of natural resources without certain guidance and regulation. So then we ask people what would they like, and actually most of the people do not like one-time composition. They want long-term subsidy, or they want a job, or they want the tourism to recover again. And we're also trying to use some market tools, for example, to provide the extra money to one cattle, but limit how many cattle they could raise, reduce the number of livestock in the panda habitat, but can still keep their income at certain level. And also, as you can see, we're going to have the Panda National Park, which cover much larger areas, and the National Nature Reserve is just part of them. The township is here, so we have more than 120,000 residents in this area. So how to develop sustainable livestock is very important. So actually, we work with the policymakers and we do a lot of science communication. I'm not sure if I have time to show the video, but actually the local government issued the policy and actually to deal with this issue. And now we're doing more work in a larger area, not just in one nature reserve. We're doing survey all across China's panda habitat. And what we want to know is maybe there's some type of livestock could work in this situation. They are sustainable. And moreover, across this big area, we have different ethnic groups. We have more than 19 ethnic groups in this area. They have different religions, they have different cultures, livestock may mean different things. So according to the local community situation, we can develop some management system better, and then to see whether we need to ban livestock in some areas or can we allow certain livestock raising in this area. And during the process, we also help the young people to get into this field, and they can come into our environmental policy master program. If they're interested in policy perspectives, they will deal with the policy. If they're more interested in ecological studies, they can understand what are the ecological impacts from livestock grazing on pandas or the other biodiversity. So we're also doing surveys to other birds, big mammals, small mammals. And also we collaborate Dr. Kriti Karanth. And in India, we actually find out there may be some win-win situation happened by changing the livestock grazing management system. So hopefully we can find certain solutions in China as well. So that's all I want to share. If we still have time, I can play the video. If no, I'm happy to answer any questions. Yep.
Thank you so much, Binbin. Actually, we still have a couple of minutes. How long is your video?
It's about 3 minutes.
Yeah, we've got time still. So do you want to give it a play?
Yeah, okay, let me try.
Sure. But it's such an amazing project.
Thank you.
Here we go.
我在王朗18年，14年，81年6月份就到王朗高去了。
99年9月生的王朗，那个时候树还是这些树嘛，山还是这些山，只是说比现在好得多。像出去看见野生动物的几率要多些，比方像鹅冠鹭啊、猎羚啊，还有矮羊啊，甚至有时间运气好的话，还可能看到熊猫或者盘羊。现在都要爬到3200、3000才看得到。
见熊猫的频率比原来要难得多，真的要难得多了。就以前这一块都有熊猫的，现在这一块你莫说熊猫，连个老狍子都少了。
也就是下面的牛嘛，活动的太频繁了，
干扰没干扰噻。
这05年以后都多了，基本上每家每户都买的有牛马进来了，反正肯定在这基础上不晓得翻了好多倍。
影响大了嘛，我们搞建设那个明显的感觉就是山上那个有熊猫的地方那个有妈妈的竹子，这肯定更耍了。
最明显的就是路边平地，你竹子都已经没得叶子，只剩干了。肯定是对熊猫啊这种，还有其他的动物的那种栖息地破坏是越来越大噻，肯定是这是必然的。
All right, thank you.
Thank you so much, Binbin. That was really wonderful. We have a question for you in our chat group, if I can read it out.
Sure.
This is from Pamela Lim. Would adopt a panda program work? If we have people adopt families to be the stewards of pandas, would the habitat for bamboo regrow with such support?
Thank you for this question. I think this actually are the most asked questions to me is how protecting the captive pandas, protecting the wild ones. So adopt a panda, although I do not know a lot about this program, but I believe adopt a panda mainly referred to the captive pandas. So I think it is important to raise like public awareness through the captive ones. However, it is really important the money invested in the captive ones can go into the wild. So for the two largest breeding centers for pandas in China, they all have the reintroduction of the pandas into the wild program. So some of them are actually pretty successful. So the final goal of the captive pandas is to reintroduce them into the wild and to actually reestablish or help to connect the wild panda population, which is very important. So once you donate, I think it is very important you keep asking, can my money help with the wild pandas? If you keep asking, that will push the people who receive your money and actually to care more about the wild pandas and to invest the money into the habitat protection, which is the ultimate goal of conservation.
Yes, that's a very good point that you raised, because ultimately we would want the pandas back in the wild, thriving in the wild, and not just, in the zoos. And also, what I found very interesting about this project is, it's highlighted really to me how important ecotourism actually is towards contributing to species survival in the wild, because it has to be a win-win situation. The people who live next to these habitats also need some form of income. And if they're not going to be incentivized to look after the habitat that the pandas need, then they will be economically incentivized to raise livestock and let them graze. So it's really such a delicate balance. What is the current situation like at the moment?
So for the area that I just showed right now, they're trying to reduce the number of livestock, giving unfortunately one-time composition. So they're trying to deal with this issue. That's why I mentioned I do not like one-time composition. Is actually it's easy for the people who implement these programs, but then for local people, most of them, they do not have financial management skills. So once they receive the compensation, they were happy, they're drinking and then eat good meals. And after 3 or 4 years, they suddenly realize they do not have any money at all. And then they can go back to the same practice again. So we need some long-term agreement or monitoring system or conditionality, which means I can give you the subsidy once you stick with our agreement. So hopefully there are following policies can encourage or help the local people to have alternative livelihood. But this area right now, they're in the national park system, which is a new protected area system in China. So we'll keep working on this area to find what could be some sustainable development management system can engage the local people as well. So also let them to feel just exactly like what you have said. My impacts on the panda habitat could hurt my future income. Once we establish this link, and then they will have more incentives to keep care of this area.
Absolutely. Humans have to win and wildlife have to win too.
Exactly.
Thank you so much for your time, Binbin. Stay safe, okay?
Yes,
And take
yes,
care.
thank you. Yep.
Thanks for joining us.